Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today, 3 Strategies for More Efficient Advertising with TV Data. Before we get started, we have a couple housekeeping items. So we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So please feel free to add any questions you have into that Q&A box, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. Also, we will be sending out a recording of today's presentation to everybody. So if you want to rewatch anything or share with colleagues, you can do so on demand. All right, with that, let's kick it off with some introductions. So my name is Caitlin Hogue. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Samba TV. If you don't know Samba TV well, we are an industry leader in TV data and measurement, and we will be providing you with an overview of our proprietary ACR technology and comprehensive TV data later in the presentation.
Hey everyone, Chris Magel. I lead our agency and publisher solutions here at Samba, which means that I work with folks like my partner here, Mr. Danilo, and helping them understand the best ways to leverage and offer up Samba targeting and measurement products to their advertising clients.
Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Tauro. I'm the head of product at Amazon Ads for agencies. I'm also the product strategy lead for the Amazon DSP for brand building, and I specifically lead the Amazon Streaming TV Ad Tech Global Roadmap and Go-to-Market.
Great, thank you guys. So quick agenda. We'll start by walking through some trends we're seeing with today's consumers and their shifting behavior. Then we'll walk through some of the key strategies we've identified. That includes some important attributes of TV data sets, how to identify incremental audiences, and optimizing campaigns for reach across platforms. We'll finish off with some best-in-class case studies and then the Q&A session. So with that, I'll actually hand it over to Danilo to kick us off.
Thank you. So I'll start actually setting some context. So I guess you're all aware that CTV has experienced an accelerated growth over the last 5 years, I would say. So few stats on this. So as you see on screen, 86% of US households are now reachable via programmatic TV. These specific years, programmatic CTV ad spend will increase by 39.2%. And I would say over the last 5 years, it grew about 25 to 30% year on year. And I would say there is a sustained growth coming off also for the next 3 to 5 years. And the leading incentive for CTV buyers is actually, so to move from linear TV to CTV, is efficiency. When we talk about this efficiency, we'll see in a second, we are talking specifically about reach and frequency. So how to control reach and frequency within CTV. And actually our friends from Samba are going to talk about also reach and frequency between CTV and linear TV. With that said, so let's start with, yes, CTV is growing, but what is the key challenge or one of the key challenges? And I would say it's definitely fragmentation. And the interesting thing is there are 2 dimensions or 2 levels of fragmentation. So the first one, actually, if you look at the top right corner, you'll see streaming TV app fragmentation, which means we have many different apps. So back to reach and frequency, it's very challenging to control reach and frequency across. But there is a second dimension of fragmentation, which is actually the operating system fragmentation. And if you think of, for example, mobile, you have mostly 2 operating systems, which is iOS and Android. Same for desktop, so you have Mac and Windows. But when you get to CTV, connected TV, you have 8 to 10 main operating systems. So what does it mean? This creates, again, fragmentation. There are publishers that are moving from client-side ad insertion, like it works for desktop and mobile, to server-side ad insertion. So they control basically the stitching together of content and ads. And so this limits the ability for advertisers to measure, control reach and frequency, and so on and so forth. So as an outcome of this device fragmentation, we see the challenges here on the left side, which is reach duplication. So basically we limit scale, measurement, and reporting. Reduce efficiency. So again, frequency management is one of the main challenges, as well as cost, quality, and verification. Last but not least, there is a reduced effectiveness because it's difficult to control audiences across the different operating systems and the different apps. So this is a bit the challenge of CTV. how is Amazon ads playing here? So actually you see here, Amazon Ad Tech is trying to simplify CTV and maximize ads impact. So in a way, we want to be the one-stop shop for advertisers to spend full funnel budgets. So top funnel, maximizing unduplicated on-target reach throughout the funnel up to kind of performance marketing campaign. So if you think of the Amazon ads ecosystem when it comes to CTV ad tech, so in the picture here, you see the Amazon DSP at the center, which is basically how you buy media. So that's basically the one-stop shop that we mentioned before, so that you can buy all your CTV needs from the Amazon DSP. But then what is special about the Amazon DSP are all these adjacent capabilities. So if we start at the top, you see what is the inventory that we have available and that we can make available to advertisers. You have owned and operated properties, so things like Twitch, Freevee, Thursday Night Football. So this is exclusive supply that Amazon has. There is APS, so Amazon Publisher Services or Amazon Publisher Direct. So this is a direct integration with premium publishers so that we can have direct access to third-party publishers. And some part of that supply is also unique to Amazon, especially the one that is on Fire TV, which is a device, the CTV device owned by Amazon. Of course, we can also extend our reach with third-party exchanges, so SSPs. So long story short, we have a combination of exclusive supply and also openly available supply. But then once we understand what is the supply available, so again, Amazon owned, but also offsite third-party supply, then the question is, how do we inform buying decisions? And that's why we are saying Amazon, looking at the overall ecosystem, we have different insights. So we have device insights. So again, think of Fire TV as well as Alexa, for example. We have entertainment insights. So think of Prime Video. So we will know what people are watching or what people are searching. And then last but not least, we have retail insights. So if you think, again, the full funnel, once we know media exposures, we will also know, for example, what people are searching, detailed page view rate, add to cart, and purchase. So that's why different insights that can educate and can inform the buy from the DSP. Last but not least, there is a piece of measurement. And so that's why here you see AMC, Amazon Marketing Cloud, which is our data clean room solution, which is built on AWS, our cloud solution. And so what AMC does is it helps connect media exposures, upper funnel, to lower funnel outcomes or business outcomes, so that, again, advertisers can manage end-to-end full funnel their campaigns within CTV.
Great. Thank you, Danilo, for that background. So before we jump into our 3 strategies, I wanted to tell you briefly about how Amazon Ads and Samba TV are working together to solve the challenges advertisers are facing today that Danilo was just talking about. So Amazon Ads obviously has amazing scale, and when combined with Samba TV's comprehensive TV data, we're helping advertisers to make more efficient ad buys by finding those audiences that go above and beyond linear TV and optimizing campaigns for that unique reach and frequency. So we actually work together in 2 ways. Samba TV has our proprietary automatic content recognition technology, or ACR, and that captures behavioral and contextual TV data across both linear and streaming TV. We create unique audience segments from that data that are then made available within the Amazon DSP so that advertisers can find the right audience and target campaigns to complement their existing linear TV strategy. We also use that data to measure reach, frequency, and outcomes from linear and streaming campaigns. And Amazon Ads Measurement Solutions uses those insights to provide accurate cross-screen measurement and help advertisers optimize for the future. So while targeting and measurement might seem like 2 different paths here, by the end of the webinar, we'll show you how to tie these together for even better performance. And when advertisers are utilizing some of these best practices that we're going to walk through, we're seeing some amazing results like these. These are real-world metrics from advertisers, and I'll take you through these success stories in more detail at the end of the presentation. So let's jump in. Chris is going to walk you through the first strategy around using an accurate TV data set.
Right on. Thanks, Caitlin. Thanks, Danilo. Okay, so the 2 things that we're mainly talking about today, which are targeting and measurement, based on TV behavioral data are all part of a data-informed, comprehensive data-informed strategy. And that begins with the TV behavioral data that Samba collects on its opted-in television sets. And we collect that program viewing and advertising exposure data via automated content recognition. So we're capturing the linear TV viewing, the streaming TV viewing, even the gaming activity that's happening on smart TVs around the world and in the US. Our ACR technology is actually in the smart TVs of over 24 manufacturers around the world. In the US, we are capturing that data from 10 different manufacturers. So it's still a lot of manufacturers, a lot of different models, a lot of different price points, a lot of different retail distribution chains. And we're supplementing that data from some of the leading set-top box data providers as well. So this is a bit of a unique data set when you compare it to the other ACR data sets that are in the market, which tend to be single manufacturer data sets. And what's unique about it is the diversity of household that we're sourcing that viewing from. When you're capturing all these different manufacturers and all these different models and different price points, even different retail distribution chains, you end up with a very US representative data set. And that's important. It's important because when you're projecting national audiences and you're projecting national campaigns and the exposure to those ad campaigns, you want to be doing so accurately. And if you are depending on a particular single manufacturer, that could have a bias, whether it's geographic or price point, and you may not necessarily be starting with the most representative data set. Samba has done its own comparison points of individual manufacturer data sets versus our heavily diverse data set, and we absolutely do have one of the most US representative data sets available on the market. So why is that important? Because when you're measuring your ad campaigns or when you're targeting audiences, a lot of times you're not targeting the entire US, you're targeting subsegments of that population, whether that subsegment be based on your own customers or generational groups within the US or ethnic groups within the US or age groups, income, you name it. You want to make sure this data set that you're working with is starting with the most representative view of every one of those subsegments so that you can ensure that the behavior you're projecting from that data set is actually nationally representative. And so that's what we do with Samba data. The first thing we start to do with this data is we're able to build very unique audiences, TV behavioral audiences, we call them. So we can build audiences from people's viewing behavior, whether it's the TV networks they watch or the programs they watch, linear and streaming programming. We can build all sorts of very cool strategies around tentpole event sponsorships. If you want to target light TV viewers or cord cutters, we're able to do that for you. And we can create very customized target audiences for any brand across any category based on exposure or unexposure to their linear TV ad schedule. And we make all of these audiences available on a custom basis to Amazon's clients within their DSP for targeting across their streaming media and all of their other digital media as well. So one of the biggest use cases that we're trying to solve for in today's world is the natural, unfortunate, but it is the case in today's world. There's been a huge fragmentation of linear TV viewing. And at this point, cable subscriptions have reached the point and cord cutting has reached the point that a linear TV schedule on any particular marketer's media plan, the foundational part of that media plan, does not really have the potential to reach equally the entire US anymore. In fact, our data in the last share of viewing report that we put out for second half of 2022 measured that 93% of linear TV ads were delivered to about half the country, 55% of the heaviest viewing households. And only 7% of all the linear ads that we measured were delivered to half the country as well. And that's just naturally happening now because there's fewer cable subscriptions, there are more cord cutters. And so you can assume that the linear TV component of your media plan is likely only able to reach effectively about 1 in 2 of every household in the United States. So you've got to come up with smart media tactics in order to offset this. You've got to reach this audience that is not getting reached by that block within your media plan effectively and really smartly. So I'm going to take you through a couple of use cases of how we do that with TV behavioral data. So looking at the first use case, this is one of the more widely used cases that we will bring to market, and we are bringing to market with Amazon for all their customers. This is the incremental reach use case. So whether you're a CPG brand, an auto brand, any mass marketer brand, if you've got a substantial still linear TV component to your media plan, Samba is able to capture the households who have been exposed to your linear campaign, and we can do that for a very recent window, maybe the last 5 to 6 or 8 weeks of your campaign, and we can identify the households who have seen that ad once, twice, as many times as they've seen it. We can also identify the households who have not yet seen the ads or who have been very lightly exposed. We can isolate that audience and target that audience within Amazon's full ecosystem of media, digital media that's available, whether it be streaming or digital across all devices through the DSP, which essentially renders the digital component of your plan entirely complementary and incremental to that linear TV foundation in the plan. That is efficiency at work. That's you basically offsetting that missing piece that I showed you on the previous slide. So another use case that we find is pretty commonly used, and this is for clients that are in very competitive categories, but they're kind of low barrier categories sometimes, or the fact that somebody's been exposed to the ad is indicative of them being a likely customer. We're able to identify the households who have been not only exposed to your ad campaign, but to all of your competitors' ad campaigns. We can group those households and we can retarget them as a group, as a competitive conquesting strategy, once again, within Amazon streaming and all of the rest of the digital media that they offer through the DSP. And so it's a very effective strategy for clients looking to expose households to their ads digitally that have already been exposed to their category in linear. That would be a retargeting strategy. And then the third use case I want to take you through, this is all about people's program viewing. So in this particular case, we've got an example of a streaming platform who's looking to promote TuneIn to the premiere of a new show on the platform. And in this case, it's a fantasy original series. Entertainment clients, theatrical clients, they work with us to create very customized target audiences that are based on the previous viewing behavior of the households that we measure. So we can identify households who have a high affinity or have watched specifically a set of 5 or 10 or 15 different programs, both linear and streaming, that are very similar to the program that is being premiered. And at the end of the day, a tune-in strategy or a theatrical box office release, your goal is to make the audience that would be most interested in your premiere or your release aware of the fact that it's being released and it's on the platform at this specific time. And this is a great way to utilize TV behavioral data to isolate that exact right target audience and promote your program to them. And then one of the other things you can do with content alignment, if you're whatever marketing category you're in, this doesn't have to be just for entertainment clients. If you're a marketer who sponsors very large tentpole events that still do exist in linear TV, like the Oscars or the Super Bowl, you can create super smart strategies that will lead up to the event, that can run during the event, or that can run post the event, that leverage the viewing behaviors of audiences or the ad exposures of audiences to be a very effective campaign that surrounds that tentpole. So that's the targeting piece of what we're offering with Amazon through their DSP and across their entire media ecosystem. Now we're going to talk a little bit about how we're able to measure, as that campaign runs holistically, what's happening within the campaigns you're running on the Amazon platform, and compare that to your linear TV advertising and to other digital publishing advertising vehicles you're using. And Caitlin's going to walk you through that.
Great, thanks, Chris. Those are some really great strategies for bridging that gap between linear and streaming. I think it really only scrapes the surface of the possibilities that are out there. So yeah, let's now talk about measurement. This is oftentimes the most difficult to wrap your head around, especially within today's fragmented landscape that Chris was talking about. So let's start actually by talking about deduplication. So multiple people in a household, multiple devices that they're using to consume content, being able to connect all of those dots can be difficult. And that's why deduplication is so essential in the measurement process. First, it helps with understanding that true reach and frequency across both linear and streaming platforms so that you can understand where your target audience is at and ultimately create more efficient ad buys in the future. It also leads to better attribution because you can understand the impact your campaigns have from both platforms on specific business outcomes, maybe like an online purchase or driving tune-ins for a show. And when you can better understand the impact your campaigns are having with that deduplicated measurement, that gives you the insights needed to create more efficient ad buys. So that's why Samba TV and Amazon Ads thinks about the entire process end to end as a flywheel rather than just a workflow, because every element ultimately impacts the next. So let's start here on the left. Samba TV creates audience segments for a brand to target using our representative TV behavioral data, and that might address some of the strategies that Chris walked through earlier. Those segments are delivered to my friends at Amazon Ads, where they're able to plan campaigns for that brand more accurately and holistically across both platforms. Those targeted campaigns are measured by Samba TV in terms of the reach and frequency across linear and streaming, or the business outcomes achieved by that campaign. Amazon Ads then works with their brand clients to turn that measurement into insights and how to optimize the targeting strategies in the next campaign. And then it starts all over again. So creating decisions that are metrics-based with that deduplicated measurement is how you can continually improve the efficiency of your campaigns over and over again. And now, Danilo, I know actually you have some thoughts on how clean rooms impact this flywheel effect as well.
Yeah, I think clean rooms are becoming critical for the strategies of advertisers. And if you think of it, basically, by connecting media exposures and downstream business outcomes, data clean rooms, so again, like Amazon Marketing Cloud, what we discussed before, can give advertisers more control and flexibility in terms of planning, data control, measurement, analysis, thanks to basically a privacy-focused technology that is particularly useful in light of changes to ad addressability. So again, imagine the ability to connect media exposures to downstream business outcomes, which could be purchase, but also any other signals that you may have in mind. So everything can be uploaded into AMC, combined with Amazon unique data, and then basically for advertisers, it's possible to answer questions like, what's my best media mix, what is the right sequencing, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely, that's a great point. So we actually see this flywheel effect time and time again with the brands that are using Samba TV and Amazon Ads together. So we wanted to show you a couple of real world examples of how brands are using that deduplicated measurement to improve their efficiency. So this case study is of an insurance brand that was running a campaign across both linear TV and also on streaming TV via Amazon Ads. They wanted to understand the true reach and frequency of the campaign across both platforms and determine how unique that audience was when you go beyond linear. So the measurement achieved with Samba TV data was actually truly astounding. They determined that by advertising on streaming TV with Amazon Ads, they were able to reach 8.6% more viewers than on linear TV alone. But not only that, they also determined that the Amazon Ads audience was incredibly unique. So we talked earlier about the rise in cord cutters, but there's also a large group of consumers that still watch linear TV, just maybe extremely rarely. And those light linear TV viewers can be even harder to find and target than cord cutters. So Samba TV proved that 89% of those light viewing households reached by the Amazon Ads streaming TV campaign had not been reached by linear TV at all, proving that they need to be targeted just as much as cord cutters going forward. So this provided some metrics-based insights needed for future campaigns in that flywheel effect that we walked through earlier. Another success story here is of a major cable channel. They were trying to drive tune-ins of their second season of a popular comedy show that they had. So making sure you're reaching an incremental audience above and beyond linear can be even more important when you're talking about a linear TV show, especially when you're trying to drive new or renewed interest for a second season. They need to make sure that they're finding a unique or new audience to drive additional tune-ins with. So with Samba TV measurement, the brand was able to measure the tune-ins delivered from both the linear TV campaign and the streaming TV campaign with Amazon ads. So while the streaming TV campaign definitely drove additional tune-ins, what was really cool, in my opinion, was the lift that we saw from those that both saw the linear ad and the streaming TV ad. That combination increased the tune-in rate by 7.1%. So that was a really key insight we were able to give them so that they can improve the targeting of their next campaign and optimize for the viewers of both platforms. So with that, we've actually walked through our 3 key strategies. A couple points I wanted to make sure you can take away from today. One is making sure that your TV data is holistic and representative. Understanding consumer behavior more accurately means you won't over-index on any one group and ultimately creating more efficiency. Second is to find your audience where they are at across platforms and screens so that you're optimizing your ad spend based on the true reach. And then finally, gaining those cross-platform insights that helps you to optimize for the future and create a more efficient flywheel from end to end. So with that, we actually have a few minutes for Q&A. I saw a few questions come in here, so let's take a look. The first one, Danilo, I think this might be a good one for you. Why do you think streaming TV is growing so quickly?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think there are at least a couple of reasons. So one is, if we think consumers, so overall video on demand expectations are contributing to driving cord cutting. So basically consumers can and want to decide what, when, and how they want to watch. Then I would say connected to that, there is technology. So if you think over time, technology in streaming has improved significantly. So think of the experience of watching sport. Now it's much better because before even small delays would impact the consumer experience. So again, imagine watching sport and somebody sending a message before you would see something on screen. But then consumer and technology, then of course advertisers would follow. And then I would say advertisers impact this from 2 perspectives. So one is I would say the economic or the funding standpoint or angle. So large influential TV buyers have started to rethink the upfront, for example. The upfront is the period where TV networks, CTV, streaming services pitch their programming, and advertisers and agencies and publishers make deals for the year ahead. So basically advertisers are now, from a media standpoint, looking for more flexibility. And so that's why connected TV bring that flexibility to the system. So they're moving budgets. And I think this is something that is super important for them and is driving this change. And I would say last but not least, still from an advertising standpoint, there are brands that basically want more inspiring ad creativity. So if you think of, for example, creatives that are more interactive, if we think of virtual product placement, if we think of dynamic creatives, so these are all things that brands can be enabled with connected TV, not with broadcasting linear TV. And that's why, again, this is just another reason why, together with the others, streaming TV, connected TV keeps growing very fast.
That's a great point. It's not just one area influencing it. It's really across the entire media ecosystem that we're seeing this drive for growth. Great. Another question here. Obviously, tentpole events like the Super Bowl are still a huge driver of linear TV. How should advertisers think about tentpoles in their streaming TV strategy? Chris, I'm going to hand that over to you because you were talking about tentpoles earlier.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. I think of what we do is the combination of the power of linear plus what you can do in digital, utilizing and playing off that behavior. So, if you imagine you're a Super Bowl advertiser and you're spent a lot of money on not only on the cost of buying the slot in the game, but on the production that goes into that spot. You want to do everything you can to accelerate and maximize the impact that advertising campaign is going to have on your business. So a great use of TV behavioral data on the way leading into the game would obviously be to begin to tease or run a campaign, a pre-Super Bowl campaign, targeting past viewers of the Super Bowl or folks who've watched the NFL before, even those who maybe haven't been exposed to as much of your TV. Just a great lead up to the game. My favorite one though is after the game. So if you're advertising in the Super Bowl, your goal is to hit as much of America as possible in one shot. And, the game reaches about half of the country these days. And so can you imagine now, as soon as the game runs, you're able to create an audience for all of the households who haven't watched the game, or all of the households who actually haven't been exposed yet to your Super Bowl spot, and run a digital campaign across all channels, including streaming, for the next 4 to 5 weeks to those households. So essentially adding pure incremental reach points above and beyond reach of the country, above and beyond what the game was able to provide to you. Or vice versa, you can aggregate all the households who did see the ad, and you can craft a great follow-on message and start retargeting those households in the weeks and months following the Super Bowl. That'd be one example of how to bring the two strategies together around a tentpole.
Which is a great strategy also for advertisers that might not have the budget to do that Super Bowl ad and still
you can do all that without the Super
everyone
Bowl ad.
watched it.
Yeah.
All right, another question here. What do you think is the biggest challenge and biggest opportunity for streaming TV advertising this year? Danilo, do you want to take that one?
Of course. So I would say challenge, it goes back to what we discussed before. Again, it's fragmentation continues to be a big challenge because it's only going to continue as new content, new formats, new platforms emerge. So this is why, for example, Amazon Ads has prioritized ways to connect the dots. And I also love the work that you guys at Samba TV are doing. So reaching audiences at scale, exclusive inventory, curated audiences, reach the right consumer, get insights so that basically advertiser can enable more data-based campaigns. I would say opportunity, I would say connected to creative. So what we touched upon a bit before. So connecting creative with the media part of advertising. So I think there are many opportunities for creativity now in engaging consumers on streaming TV. I mentioned before, interactive ads, for example, virtual product placement. So when you can test these new assets, you can measure their success, then optimize campaigns in the future. You really start to innovate and hone in on strategies that connect with your audience.
Great point. Yeah, there's so many more opportunities now for creativity and innovation. All right, we have time for, I think, one more question here. Chris, I'm going to hand this over to you. You said deduplication is essential for measurement, but how do you achieve true deduplication?
That's the beauty of modern measurement. So today, holistic cross-channel measurement across linear TV, streaming channels, digital channels, it's all possible. It's possible because you have TV panels that are at the household level, and you've got identity graphs that are also at the household level. So that what that enables you to do is essentially combine the household level linear TV impressions of your campaign with all of the streaming and digital impressions of your campaign. And that the combination of that TV panel and the shared audiences between the panel and the identity graph are what allow you to deduplicate and associate those impressions with households. And that is what allows you to deduplicate essentially. So once you've associated all those impressions with the correct households, you now know the reach and the frequency, and you can roll that reach and frequency up on a publisher basis. So what is the individually or deduplicated reach and frequency of USA Network versus MTV versus NBC versus Amazon Prime versus any of the different digital publishers on your media plan? That is deduplicated reach and frequency or deduplicated outcomes measurement. It's all enabled by the household association capability that is enabled by TV panels and identity graphs. The Samba unique special sauce on that is our TV panel is our TV panel. Our identity graph we've built ourselves, and the TV panel is actually a component of the identity graph, which essentially means there's no loss of fidelity between the two. So when you're doing linear versus digital deduplicated reach and frequency, you're doing so in a very accurate and comprehensive basis. So Caitlin, there's two questions that are really easy to answer. I just want to get them out if that's okay. It's about Samba products. So I see that somebody was asking about our data set, whether it includes LG, Vizio, Hulu. Our TV panel does not include LG and Vizio. We showed you the manufacturers that are on there. However, when we're building audiences, I also mentioned we've got the set-top box partners that are part of our data set. Those set-top box providers absolutely cover all manufacturers. So in our targeting, we are covering pretty much most manufacturers. And then in our actual TV data, Hulu is, among many other streaming platforms, measured by our TV data. And our data is available in multiple countries around the world. Our data is available in 9 markets around the world. I won't go into them today, but we can provide that to you directly post this webinar. Thanks a lot, guys.
Great. Thanks, Chris, for that. So we are at time. If we did not get to your question, apologize. We will be following up with you though, so you'll get those answers. And then one last final call out here. If you want to learn more, whether it's about Samba TV data, about how our segments work within Amazon DSP, or maybe about some of the Amazon ads measurement solutions, please reach out to this email alias here, amazonteam@samba.tv, and we'll make sure to get those questions answered for you. And with that, thank you everybody for joining today. I really hope you enjoyed the webinar and have a great day.
Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.